I think we had a very good day yesterday. And our speakers, I thought, were exceptional. We got some very good new information from CMHC, from their 2015 housing survey. Our keynote speaker, we heard in the morning, who set the stage and gave us some very interesting things to think about with respect to dying at home. And for those of you who weren't here yesterday, what she said is, while most people want to die at home, what we don't think about is whether the family, in fact, are in a position to make it happen in the way that the person who is dying would like it to happen. And amongst other things, she reminded us that not all families get along, and that not everybody likes each other, and sometimes there is some antipathy that goes on, as well as the situation of caregivers who get burnt out because they really don't have the strength or the skills, and we maybe don't have in place the home care services that people think that are going to be available to them. The second panel was, I thought, quite interesting in bringing to our attention the differences within communities. So the diversity within communities, in the South Asian community, for example, where Dr. Mithani was talking about the different ways that people from the Islamic community view dying, and that some people within their religion or their culture feel that if they suffer, that's part of the process of getting their way into heaven. They're expiating their sins, or in one way or another, it is part of the religion. And so in some cultures, people want to have palliation, they want to have medication so that they don't suffer, and in others, that could be offensive to them to propose it. And he also made the point that there's differences between those people who have just come from another country, so new immigrants, and those who have come as a young person and grown old in Canada, some of whom have enculturated in one way or another. The physician-assisted dying session pointed out that alternatives to suicide do exist and are becoming more legal than they were in the past, so that people, rather than feeling that they must take, if they've got to the point where they've decided their life is intolerable, can get some assistance. We had an interesting session with on dementia, the friendly way forward, with Jim Mann, who himself is a person with dementia, I think demonstrating to us very clearly that he's still very much a person and very much able to express himself, and that the diagnosis, in his case, he's been living with it for 9 years, and that we don't think that a person, or we shouldn't think that a person gets a diagnosis and dies very quickly, but rather that you want to make the quality of life as good as it can be. So it's living with dementia to the best of your ability. And then our final session was also different and very interesting, beginning with the video of my friend David Wilder, my ex-boyfriend, or old boyfriend, David Wilder, who couldn't be with us because I think he's in the south of France at the moment, but talking about autonomous cars, the driverless cars, and the possibilities that they offer for older people. David Kaufman talking about the values of digital storytelling for older people. ways that they can create community and can express themselves. And then Wesley Chang with the very interesting presentation on televisit, where the people actually do become a community. They don't necessarily meet face to face, but they talk to each other. And one of the most interesting pieces of that particular technology is the fact that the tablet looks like a picture frame, but the people use just plain ordinary telephone. Because somebody did comment earlier in the day about the problem with technology being that it's too complicated. And I know one gentleman came to the microphone and was talking about remote controls, and I was just giggling to myself because my husband has a really hard time with the fancy remote control. It keeps pushing the wrong buttons, and I have to go and rescue him and turn it on yet again. Right. I think he's got fat fingers or something. Whatever it is that tell us, the very sleek-looking remote, he manages to muck up all the time. Well, and then we had our 50th anniversary celebration, and I was delighted at how many of you stayed to celebrate with us.